Lord, make us instruments of your peace.
Where there is hatred, let us sow love.
Where there is injury, pardon.
Where there is doubt, faith.
Where there is despair, hope.
Where there is darkness,
light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master,
grant that we may not so much seek
to be consoled as to console,
to be understood as to understand,
to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive,
it is in pardoning that we are pardoned,
and it is in dying
that we are born to eternal life.
Amen.
WESN.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Residents alarmed after woman's kidnapping in Chase Village. Kamala slams Stuart Young's appointment as Prime Minister. Elderly doctor and caretaker brutally robbed in home invasion. And gas station attendant beaten and robbed in Carenage. Now for the details. Authorities are investigating the kidnapping of 30-year-old Aaliyah Kissoon, who was abducted on March 14th after leaving her home to buy food. Her boyfriend told police he last spoke with her at 8:14 p.m. before receiving a call from an unknown man demanding a $3.5 million ransom. Kissoon's car was later found abandoned at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. Residents of Bagan Trace, where she previously lived, say crime is out of control. The anti-kidnapping unit is leading investigations. Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar has condemned the swearing-in of Stuart Young as Prime Minister, calling it a bloodless coup. Speaking at a UNC meeting, she accused the PNM government of bypassing democracy and questioned Camille Robinson Regis's appointment as Attorney General. She also urged disillusioned PNM supporters to join the UNC, promising a brighter future under her leadership. An 84-year-old retired neurosurgeon and his caretaker were tied up and beaten by 5 robbers during a violent home invasion in Marval on March 16th. The suspects stole over $21,000 in cash, foreign currency, firearms, and 3 luxury vehicles. 2 of the stolen cars have since been recovered, and police are searching for the suspects. A 39-year-old gas station employee in Carenage was assaulted and robbed by a man she knew as she prepared to end her shift on March 16th. The suspect, armed with what appeared to be a gun, forced his way into the booth, attacked her, and stole over $28,000 in cash before fleeing. Police are investigating. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for watching.
WESN.
Hello and welcome back to AM Prime. My name is Jada McLeod. Now today we have a jam-packed show for you guys, fun and well-rounded. But first we're going to start off with a little bit of politics. What's new in politics? So today we're discussing how young people feel about the change in leadership. So in any democracy, youth voices play a crucial role in shaping the future. And here in Trinidad and Tobago, with the recent significant change in the executive leadership, it's essential to understand how the next generation of political thinkers view the path ahead by analyzing the past. Today we have with us Mr. Chris Hossain, an engineer by trade, former youth parliamentarian, and a young man with a keen understanding of our political landscape. He's no stranger to this program, having shared well-voiced perspectives in the past, and today he joins us to discuss the youth's response to this pivotal moment in our country's governance. Chris, welcome back.
Thank you, and good morning. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago as well.
Right.
I'm very happy to be here this morning. Yesterday, not only did you all invite me to discuss the cabinet reshuffle, but something interesting happened in the afternoon.
Yes, very much so. You wanna leave with that? You wanna start with that?
Well, the thing is, for some of us who may be living under a rock or just didn't get the chance to scroll through social media, we have the general election date. It would have been announced. I believe it's the 28th of April, and nomination day being the 4th.
Yes.
So some very interesting times ahead, don't you think?
Of course. I think when I first heard that it was being announced, I was like, so soon? Like, he just got inaugurated. This just happened. So what are your thoughts on that? Why do you think that it happened too soon? Why didn't he prolong it until like November?
Well, the thing is, I can't tell you exactly what the strategy is, because I don't know what the strategy is within the PNM or the ranks of the government right now. But of course, political players or actors existing in the landscape, and they're assuming or trying to achieve governance, they would have their strategy and they would execute it accordingly. I can definitely think of different permutations or iterations or outcomes. It was very interesting to see the date coming right after the swearing ceremony.
Yeah.
I thought, or I figured that there were a few changes in the reshuffle, right? So of course we have a new prime minister, and just to touch on that, I think it's a good thing to see the baton being handed over in this leadership or generational leadership change.
So you believe in succession?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the best example to give would have been the Minister of Housing. He, Adrian Leons, he would have been the minister in the Ministry of Housing for the past 5 years. And so now he has been promoted and elevated to the line minister, you know, and he'll be sitting in the cabinet. So there is some succession planning that I have seen, and I'm pleased with that. Of course, you have Camille Robinson-Regis being the Attorney General now. You also have a new Minister of Finance, and he also would have served as the Permanent Secretary in the Energy Ministry and even Finance Ministry. So there were a lot of changes. Marvin Gonzalez would have been moved from public utilities to national security. So there were many things that happened that really, if you looked at social media or spoke to anyone, it intrigued you in the politics. You were like, well, what's going to happen next? What the next coming months may look like? Because of course, you know, the leadership will take on its own direction. I mean, this is no longer a Keith Rowley-led government. It's now a Stuart Young government. But interestingly, it's only 1 month or a couple days for us to be able, for them to prove to us that they should get another 5 years. And I'm saying the party, but also the leadership has changed.
All right, so on that note, let's shape this and go back to the beginning. What was your first thought when you heard Rowley was stepping down and maybe appointing a successor?
So my first thought was like, wow. Wow, so, okay. So...
Was it a surprise?
No. It was not a surprise. Dr. Rowley said the day he won the election, I believe it was August the 10th, 2020, I hope my dates are correct, he said the night that this may very well be his last term as Prime Minister, his political term. So it was good to see a leader willing to wind down their political career and close the curtains on this chapter. And I wish him well, and I wish all leaders in this country who serve in Trinidad or serve Trinidad and Tobago well on their future endeavors. What I will say though, I was more so interested as who the next person would be. The first time I appeared on WESN AM Prime, I would have said that I would have put the younger parliamentarians on notice, because I wanted to see the transition of power happen. The political product looked the same in terms of leaders for the past decade.
Yeah.
And I was very concerned with the voter turnout. As we know, the voter turnout has dwindled.
It's been very low, yeah.
Even if you look at the last local government election, it was 30.34%. Usually low, not that low. So it can tell us that persons are just not really that interested in what we have in front of us. And so changes needed to be made. I'm not one of those who will say, you know, the PNM and the UNC, they both need to go, and they have both contributed to national development in this country. What I was more so looking forward to seeing is the direction or the leadership direction in which you're advancing this country, because as you said, I'm still relatively young, I think so, right?
Yes.
And I have to live and exist here.
Yeah.
And our peers have to live and exist here. And so the level of discussion outside the parliament and the political hustings and even inside legislative, it must be something that is not only progressive, but we can see it assisting us in the future to come. We were discussing things like AI, we are discussing things like climate change, we are discussing things like regulations for AI. The Youth Parliament debated, I know you debated in the Youth Parliament.
Yes, that is something I'm always very passionate about on this show, how we implement AI into our country's systems. But I want to go back to our cohort. Do you think that now Prime Minister Stuart Young is well received by our cohort?
I think we only have a day or a few hours to be able for me to make that judgment. But I did listen to his speech. I think it was his first political speech. Before being Prime Minister, it would have been at the launching of the candidates, I believe it was last Sunday. And it sounded to me as though he is willing to put the party in the best direction in terms of healing, because he pinpointed a few persons who may not have voted for him in the parliamentary caucus. And it demonstrated to me it was a clarion call for let's, and you know, the slogan is let's do this, and maybe let's do this together, he was telling his colleagues. So that stood out to me, and that was quite interesting. He also gave us a story about how he became a PNM member. I also listened to him speak about, and it was thematic in his speech, being a fighter. So those things in listening to him, those were interesting things, very interesting.
Would you say there's any merit to viewing Stuart as a sort of underdog in the political arena?
No, I don't view him as an underdog.
Okay.
Stuart Young had, when he came into the parliament through the Senate, he made his impact in terms of a debate. The fun fact, the first time I did Youth Parliament, I actually was the youth Minister of National Security. I held his portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was forced to do a little extra research on him. It was quite 2018. And what I can tell you is that he has held a number of high cabinet portfolios. He was in the Ministry of the Attorney General. He was the Minister of National Security. He was the Minister of Energy. He was the Minister of Communication. He served in the office of the Prime Minister. So he held a number of portfolios. What is interesting to me is that, and I'm on the show to give an opinion, I view him as a technical guy.
Okay.
You know, I don't necessarily view him as a fighter. So it was interesting to see him pivot and position himself that way. And it makes sense because he's now assuming a leadership role. Before he always supported a leader, but now he is the interim political leader.
Do you think, and just speaking blatantly, he was the best pick out of everybody else in the PNM?
Well, that is not for me to determine. I think that decision would best be rest with the membership of the People's National Movement in their internal election.
All right, so on this note, would you say that what Rowley maybe should have done, this is just something I've heard, I don't personally agree with it or anything like that, Rowley should have said, hey, I would like to step down. Here is who I'm pushing my support behind. You guys, let's have our democratic process. I'm not appointing anybody, just who I'm pushing my support behind. Let's have our democratic process. And when you do choose, I will step down, not only as Prime Minister, but as political leader of the PNM.
Well, notice I said there was a transition of power. Was it seamless? I don't think so. So I do think that there is room for improvement in terms of it being seamless. There was a democratic process exercise, and that would have been I believe it was the parliamentary caucus that voted, all of the elected members. But the thing is, Jada, some of those members are not returning to the parliament in 2025. Some of them didn't even file. Yeah? So their vote, to me, didn't really matter because we're talking about the next, perhaps, should you win, or even if you don't win, you'll be in opposition. So that, your vote must count for something that I think you should be a part of. But what I think you're getting at is the internal election with the membership. And I do think that any political party that wants to put forward leaders in this country should go through the due process with their members. And dare I say, the PNM, I do think the PNM is one of the premier political parties in the Caribbean. And so this is one of the very first times where we are seeing that this happened, where the members did not elect the political leader, yet they're facing an election. And I want to also say, when George Chambers assumed Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, it really came after some circumstances. So maybe that may have been justified then, but the circumstances are not the same now. Yeah. The challenge that Stuart may have is he did not get to be the political leader. He did not get to be the elected political leader to select his members that will stand with him. Because remember, these members were still screened while Dr. Rowley would have been political leader.
Yes.
So I'm not insinuating that there may be infighting. What I am deliberately saying is that it is going to be interesting how relationships are managed and expectations are managed. And those things comes with leadership. And we saw it. We not only saw it in the way Dr. Rowley ran his government, but we also saw it in previous prime ministers. We talk about Mrs. Fasad Bisa, so we can speak about Mr. Bastio Pandey and how they have to manage the expectations of the persons around them. I want to go back to the assumption or the appointment of Camille Robinson-Regis. I think Camille is the mother of the PNM, that's no secret. And so placing her there, I think it is a good strategy for him.
Yes.
So that he has someone who will, you know, all ducks must line up and all soldiers must get in line. And I think if he can't do it, I think she will for him.
Okay, well, on the topic of appointments, what do you think about every single person that he puts in certain positions? Because when I heard that he would have taken certain people out of certain positions and put in new people and all these promotions, and we won't call them demotions, but promotions happened, I was a bit taken aback. I thought he would have just ran with the same Rowley lyrical handbook, Rowley songbook, but he chose to make some changes.
Yeah. So the change with minister, well, the reality is that whoever is the Minister of National Security, they're always going to get some licks for you know, the state of affairs in terms of national security. And I think he knows very well that the previous Minister of National Security was very unpopular amongst Trinidad and Tobagonians.
Yes.
So the face needed to be changed, which was good for public relations. But interestingly, he used one of the better ministers, because it's no secret that Marvin Gonzalez has done some good for the Ministry of Public Utilities. And so he may have one of the, I think, the highest ratings in the cabinet. And so appointing him in that position, I think it's a good look at face value.
I heard a lot of people were in agreement with his appointment.
But the thing is, Jada, and I'll get back to the other appointments, this election date being so close, will we get to see this new Prime Minister and this new cabinet prove themselves to us in time for the election? So I do think that the date was it's a risky date. I don't know if it completely makes sense in terms of all of the things that happened in the past couple of days. As I said, Adrian Leon, it was good to see that. I explained Camille Robinson-Regis and why I think she is going to play a big part on the political platforms. I also think the new Minister of Finance, it's also the previous minister, very unpopular amongst Trinidadians and Tobagonians. And it doesn't necessarily mean the person, you know. It means that the job you have, it means there are many factors with the economy. We know about the oil prices. So oil and gas prices. We understand what is going on globally right now and even the geopolitical arrangements. So, but he knows very well, or the leadership in the PNM, they know very well that we may need to switch out some faces and maybe rebrand for the next election.
So this being Stuart's playbook for himself as Prime Minister, do you think there's any merit in taking a look at how he performed as previous Minister of National Security, Energy and Energy Industries, and judging him based on that, without even, because you only have about a couple of weeks for him to see, if he was to see what he does?
Well, but that's the thing. I've said I viewed him as a technical guy, and I think those are his strengths. I think Stuart Young's strength is in the Parliament. So knowing that Parliament is now dissolved, I'm looking forward to hearing him on the political platforms, but I don't necessarily look forward to hearing from him. Not that he is not good, but there are other persons I look forward to hearing. Dr. Rowley on the political platforms. I look forward to hearing Mrs. Prasad Biswas on the political platforms. I look forward to hearing Sham Fakujo on the political platforms. But in the Parliament, I look forward to hearing him. Oh yes, I look forward to hearing him. So that space where I think he shines, I would have liked to see him go toe-to-toe with our Prime Minister questions. Yeah, I would have liked to see that.
He's a very, people, they see him as this guy that's a master negotiator. I think that's a very important skill to have as a Prime Minister. How do you think that that will help him in his new role?
I think it will help him very well, but he'll have to firstly negotiate internally in the PNM to ensure that he can close ranks and have his party united behind him. But the consequence of everything that we are discussing, because you know very well there's a conversation happening outside of this that maybe his assumption and appointment was not legitimate. And that is an argument that is being made. But to rest assured to Trinidadians and Tobagonians, the consequences for all political actions made now will be determined on the 28th of April.
I feel like a lot of what we're seeing, there's absolutely no precedent. Absolutely none. For example, if the PNM were to get re-elected, why is it that he would automatically become Prime Minister? Why is he the first choice? I mean, I know that there's some processes that would have gone on, but do you think it's fair that he would automatically become Prime Minister?
You are asking me if I think things with politicians are fair.
No, okay, and that's pretty valid. But I just want to hear, because I would have spoken about it with some of my peers and some of my family members, and they were in complete disagreement. They were like, "This is not how we do things."
Yeah,
that was a general consensus.
And Jada, the population, and this is where I want to really encourage all persons, because some persons are like, oh gosh, election again, silly season, they done start. But for me, I view this as a great opportunity for us. We have in our little 1.4 million, democratic nation, that we have the ability and a process in which we go through in how we would like this country to be run, and how we want our political arrangements and government direction to be run. And we are at that time again where we get to decide that. So I want all persons who are interested in politics to look at the political platforms. Everybody, make an informed decision. If you can attend, attend. There's nothing wrong with attending. Attend. Listen to what they have to say. If there are meetings, cottage meetings with the PNM, the UNC, we have the TPP in Tobago, we have now another, and I'm saying we because these parties belong to all of us in Trinidad and Tobago. We have the Patriotic Front, we have the Congress of the People, all of, or NTA. All of these persons, and listen, make and inform, because these people are going to represent you. So we are at a very good time where we get to determine that. But in terms of it being fair or unfair, the people of Trinidad and Tobago will determine if it was fair or legitimate or unfair on April the 28th.
All right.
And that is the process in which our arrangements are in this country.
Yes, I think that we are in for a period of huge transformation. I almost see that there's a sort of pivotal shift in terms of how we do things. A lot of things are changing, whether that's going to be good or bad. I think that personally we have the leadership skills and we have the camaraderie as a nation to come together and choose what's best for our nation. But I wanted to ask, among our cohort here, a lot of us, we don't vote. So how would you encourage young voters to get out there, young eligible voters to get out there?
Well, first of all, I have to tell the politicians, if you are interested, and that's a big if you are interested in securing a vote from young people, you have to engage us. And so your rhetoric and political discussion we must be the target audience. But it has, for many years, Jada, not been young people, based on what they have been saying. I know we are not the target audience. So, again, the politicians, the rhetoric needs to change. It needs to change for us, for our sake, for us to be interested. And I'm not saying filter the politics, you know. I'm saying target your policies. Another thing I will say to young people listening on is that we have the opportunity, again, to make our own political arrangements on April the 28th. But outside of that, from now until then, we also equally have the opportunity to attend these political gatherings, to, I'm not saying pressure, but question, and you have the right to ask what it is you intend to do with the next 5 years. Or we have the opposition, on the other hand, what you intend to do in the next 5 years. I know the opposition has rolled out a number of plans or policies so far. So those are some of the things that I think we as young persons, we must know. We don't need anybody to tell us to feel empowered, you know. We need to take up, when we say take up the space, we mean literally take up this space and ask the questions. If you want to know something, ask the questions. Your member of parliament, wherever they sit in the 41 constituencies, they are to represent you, you know. They are not to represent themselves. They are to represent you and in the best interest of you. When legislation comes before the House, they should consult with their constituents to know exactly what you would like to see and how to vote. Now, I know we have the Westminster system and the whip and that kind of thing, which I can understand. But that consultation process must happen. I saw recently an MP who would have served for 5 years, and he's trying to, you know, get back his seat. He put out a flyer, you know, conversations and such and such and such. Yes. And I'm seeing a number of that actually, not him alone. And what's interesting is, but for the past 5 years, we had no conversations with you, right? But now you want to have conversation with me? You want to talk to me for the whole 5 years? You blank me, you want to talk to me for the whole 5 years. You ghost me. Now you want to talk to me?
Of course, it's election, yeah.
But you're really good, yes?
Yeah.
But the opposition, on the other hand, because while we talk about the government, the opposition is there. And the opposition parties as well. So we have the official opposition being the UNC opposition, then we have the opposition parties. We have the official opposition, by the way, in Tobago being the TPP.
Yes. And
so, in theory, the opposition parties really wins with a coalition. We saw it in, I believe it was in 1986 with NAR. We saw it in 1995 because Mr. Pandey, the UNC, would have gotten the seats from Tobago. We saw it in 2010 with Mrs. Pasan Bisasani People's Partnership. So I've always said that if the opposition is interested and opposition parties are interested in really getting into government, the formula is there. It's you need to come together.
Yes.
And so there's some sort of political negotiation that has to happen in those rooms. But the thing is, you say, I'm saying political negotiation, we're talking about politicians, we're talking about egos.
Yes.
So that is something that going into those rooms to have those discussions, they must be able to put aside. I also must say that the UNC, being the official opposition, has not announced all of their candidates as yet. But they have, and I'll give them credit where credit is due, they have announced the ones that on the marginal seats. I don't know if persons noticed that. San Fernando West, St. Joseph, which demonstrated to me, those are the seats they're interested in really winning from, or snatching from the PNM. However, the safe seats, people look at your safe seats. So who you put in your safe seats will matter. As a matter of fact, also, one of the things that is lingering within the UNC right now, and it is the big pink elephant in the room, is what are they going to do with some of the persons who were not successful in the internal election. The UNC had an executive, national executive internal election, not political leadership. And there were persons who ran against the current executive. Will the current executive wield their power in such a way where they ostracize the persons who democratically, went through the process with them and were unsuccessful. But here's the thing, they still got 3,000 to 4,000 votes. So I'll even say, will Anita Haynes retain her seat in Tabakit? Anita Haynes would have been the public relations officer for the UNC.
I think she's well received by the public. I think it wouldn't be to their advantage
and
to ostracize her.
But we also know she's well received by young people across political lines.
Yes.
And so she's definitely an asset to the party and to the organization. She existed and campaigned within this space, and once the election was over, she did not campaign. So that demonstrated to me she understands the political process that she engaged in. But she's a student of politics, by the way. Her background is that. So I understand it.
We recently had an interview with her, and she said that she is working on some things. So I do plan to see a lot from her in the next coming months. We do have to wrap, but I wanted to ask you, I wanted to go back to youth and voting. Do you think there's any, and I don't like to use this word a lot, merit, but in young persons like us, persons who are a little bit more involved in politics, that may know a little bit more than the rest of our cohort, in doing social media videos, little TikTok, stuff like that, to kind of put the word out there, meet them where they're at, almost working alongside political leaders?
So I saw someone who started, there are a few persons who do that. I noticed the MP for Tunapuna. They have a strong media team. I noticed the minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General, Renuka Sagram Singh Suklal, she has a strong media team as well. And they understand trying to get those short, brief messages out and even filtered messages out to young people. So I do think some are doing it. I'll give another example. There's this attorney, his name is Kyle Taklal Singh, and I came across some of his TikToks, and I believe it's Kyle's Take. And so he has, briefly in a minute and 30 seconds, sometimes 2 minutes, briefly explained issues and his positions on it. Interestingly, he also filed for a seat in the UNC, and he was also a part of the team that ran against the executive that won. So it's going to be interesting what is his fate as well politically, because if you know his legal acumen and background, I think he'll definitely be an asset, not just to the party, but inside the House and Parliament in terms of debate. But there are a number of persons, I think they do the engagement. You look at Dr. Nayan Gadsby Dolish, I think she has a good social media team as well. And so some of them are doing it.
Yes.
But you know what turns us off? When you get into the political hustings. That is when we are turned off,
Because it's almost like you're selling a sales pitch.
When you get into the political hustings on these platforms, I am confused by the brand. Because on social media, you are one way. And then you get up there, and then we're talking about all of these different things. And the ethnic differences, which is something that I hope not to see. And I want to caution all politicians looking on. Let us not use the thing that is supposed to unite us. It is supposed to unite us. We just came out of a carnival. If you look at some of the costumes that Lost Tribe would have had, they won large band of the year. Some other bands as well. We celebrate our differences. So don't use our differences to divide us for political gain. And the voter turnout done so low. So what are you trying to do? Win minority? So I hope not to see that. And I'll always be hopeful, Jada. I'll never get fatigued and tired. Might get frustrated. But I'm always hopeful.
But I would love to see your opinions hear your opinions as this continues to roll out. We do have to wrap. But do you have any last words, anything you'd like to leave with the people of Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, firstly, I want to thank you for having me on this morning. And I want to encourage each Trinbagonian to do their civic duty. And it's not just voting and showing up at the, what is that? The
ballots.
The ballots, correct. But it's also equally attending the meetings, whether in person or virtually, and asking the questions that you wish to get answers for. I mean, these people are going to represent all of us, So that's my short message.
All right, thank you so much for coming. It's, of course, always a delight to hear from you. I'm sort of a fan, guys. I am sort of a fan. So, yes, thanks so much for coming on, Chris. What we're going to do is we're going to just cut to a short commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. Please stay with us.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private health care affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist.
Where good private health care is affordable.
Our award-winning show is back, and this season promises to be even more exciting than before. What's Up, Doc isn't just a title. It's a call to action for anyone who wants to improve their health and well-being. Join us on this thrilling ride towards better health on WESN Content Capital.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business, I have nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
Can you hear me now?
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag.
Make sure you have the flyer because I would be able to tell you what's on it.
Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God. So we kind of have to stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being victim or the man is being victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism
to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI. Worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Hello and welcome back to AM Prime. My name is Jada McLeod.
Naomi Macnish.
All right. So for our second conversation of the day, we're just going to jump straight in. So creating a truly inclusive society starts with strong systems and strong people at the helm of said systems, ones that provide equal opportunities, access to resources, and meaningful support for all individuals, including those with Down syndrome. But are we doing enough? The Down Syndrome Family Network is leading the charge with their upcoming event, Improve Our Systems, happening on March 20th and 21st. What does this initiative aim to address, and what are the key areas that affect individuals with Down syndrome and their families? Joining us now is Mr. Glenn Niles, the founder and president of the Down Syndrome Family Network, to share more about this event and the challenges that still exist. Welcome to the program, Glenn. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning, W. Morning.
Good morning.
I'm great.
All right.
Glad to be on board.
As we know that you had to stick in your car today, so we do appreciate you for joining us, even though we know it's quite a busy week for you.
Oh yeah, but this is all part of what we do. So
yes, duty. So tell us a little bit about Improve Our Systems, the event, and what is its main focus?
Okay, well, the Down Syndrome Family Network initially started in 2012. I mean, we were launched on the 21st of March, which was the first time that the United Nations appointed that day as World Down Syndrome Day. So that was fantastic for us. That gave us the impetus to actually launch on that day, since we were incorporated, in 2011. So we launched on the 21st of March 2012. So every time that day comes around, it's actually our anniversary. And the whole purpose of the Down Syndrome Family Network is we are advocates for the human rights of persons with Down syndrome and other disabilities, because you cannot separate disabilities. If you're fighting for one, you have to fight for all.
Okay.
And through my experience as a parent of a son with Down syndrome, the persons with disabilities are really getting what we call the shitty end of the stick. Right? The rights are being infringed by what we think is the right thing, because we don't know any better. So you'll have a person with a child with a disability not being allowed to go into a school because the school doesn't have the right facilities, or the teachers don't have the right training.
Yes.
And that has been the norm for years, and nobody has ever questioned it. So it was the same with myself. I never questioned it, because I really thought that's how it is. He's special, and he will be like that for the rest of his life. He wouldn't be able to do anything. He wouldn't be able to work. He wouldn't be able to get any kind of training. I just thought that was how it is, until I attended a conference in the US in, I think it was 2008, 2009 in Boston. It was hosted by the National Down Syndrome Congress. And when I went to that conference, I met hundreds of people with Down syndrome. Never saw so many people with Down syndrome in my life. And interacted with them. And I could speak to them just how I'm speaking to you now. I mean, there were those that were nonverbal. There were those that couldn't communicate as well. But the majority of them I could communicate with. And their level of intellect, their ability to respond, their cognition was amazing to me. So think about me coming from Trinidad and Tobago, where most of the people with Down syndrome or other disabilities that you meet, they cannot function at that level. And meeting people, and so I want to know why. What happened? Is it difference in the water and the food, or what is it? Is it a different strain of Down syndrome? And it wasn't. The only difference is that they live in an inclusive society where there are laws and policies that protect them and protect their rights, so that they have to be included in schools, and if they cannot be fully included, they are integrated. So they actually go to the same school, attend different classes, and support systems are put in place. So we realize that the biggest hindrance to our children with Down syndrome and other disabilities, be it autism, cerebral palsy, is legislation. Because without that legislation and policies, then we depend on goodwill.
Yes.
Or, you know, because there are some persons with Down syndrome and with autism who are allowed into schools, but it's mostly because of goodwill on the part of the principal, the board, sometimes the teacher, sometimes the relationship with the parent, sometimes the amount of clout the parent has in society.
Yes.
You know? Whereas it should be across the board so that everybody will benefit.
Right.
So we realized that once we saw that, our primary mandate since the network started has been to lobby for legislation and to change the mindset of the people in Trinidad and Tobago, because we really don't know different. And until we learn that there is a different way of doing things, we want to stay with the status quo. We think that we are doing the best for them by putting them in a box, and we have these special schools all over the place popping up that are very expensive, and oh, they are special, so they must go to the special schools and they must get the special training from the specially trained teachers, etc., etc., etc. But over the years, what benefit have we seen from all that special training for people with disabilities? How have they progressed? What has changed? And through our lobbying, through our networking, we have started a mentorship program, and the theme of it is really opportunities reveal potential. Give them an opportunity and actually see what they could do. Because we cannot just say somebody is special and they would never be able to do this. They would never be able to go to school. They would never be able to learn. They would never be able to work unless we give them an opportunity.
So,
Everyone is different.
Mr. Niles, I just want to kind of, as we're, grasping for time here, can you just tell us what can attendees expect from this conference? What can we look forward to with regard to the conference?
What kind of what?
What can we look forward to? What can we expect from the conference?
Well, just what I'm saying. More knowledge
and
information to change your mind. Because we actually have two self-advocates, international self-advocates, who are very successful in what they do with David Egan and Angel. And they would be the featured speakers at the conference. Now, every year for the conference, we bring down an international self-advocate to show parents and to show Trinidad and Tobago, this is where our children, young adults with Down syndrome, with autism, could be if we give them that opportunity.
What are some of the actionable steps that you're hoping to see from the public, and what are some steps that you're hoping that maybe the government can take to create a more inclusive environment?
Well, the government is legislation, but we've been working closely with the government, and they have drafted disability legislation. So really think about it. How is it possible that Trinidad does not have disability legislation when we have so many disability organizations and we have so many persons with disabilities living in Trinidad and Tobago?
I would completely agree. From my personal experience, my brother himself has Down syndrome, and he's actually been to a couple of events that the DSFN has thrown. And we, as a family, have always been very, very thankful for the work that you guys have done. But we always wondered, for example, with him in schooling, he was never really allowed into many schools, and the only place where he found some sort of refuge was at Goodwill. That can't be because for one of him, there's many, many more persons with disabilities. So how do we bridge that gap? What are the actionable steps in bridging that gap from, let's say, a public perspective? How do people treat people with disabilities better?
Well, people have to change their mindset, as I said. We have to stop thinking of them as having a disability and start changing the environment that they're in to remove that disability. Because it's really the environment that enables them. The fact that we keep making excuses that the teachers aren't trained in the regular schools, they can't handle the children, we don't have enough human resources. Why don't we think about how we could solve those problems? But as I said, nothing will change without legislation. You see the Goodwill, especially like schools like Goodwill and NCPD, which are still not fully inclusive schools because they are only for persons with disabilities.
Yes.
So then how do you prepare them to come out into an environment where the other people don't have disabilities? They have to interact with them. How do they learn that? How do we teach the public to be able to interact with them if we segregate them and shut them away from the very same public who's supposed to care and show empathy and give them opportunities when they don't even know them? Some people don't even know the difference between Down syndrome and autism.
Yes.
Because they've never actually, in Trinidad and Tobago, seen somebody with Down syndrome, interacted with somebody with Down syndrome, interacted with somebody with autism, and there are so many different levels to the spectrum, you know, in autism, that some people, oh, they're all bright, you know. No, not all of them are very bright. Some of them are exceptional, yes. Some of them, because of the spectrum, cannot even get out of bed because the brain cannot send the message to their muscles. So it's so much that the public has to learn, but how will they learn it if they are not allowed to interact with them?
So are there any new initiatives or maybe collaborations that the DSFN would be planning for 2025 that the public can look forward to gain more knowledge?
We always have, the public can go to our social media pages. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook. We have several workshops every single year. We have the Body Walk in October. So it's not like when we meet parents and they've never heard about us, it's not because we are not out there. We are always on television, on radio, or then we try to put ourselves out there. What people have to do is try to get more involved. What I realized when I first started to advocate for my son is that it's done by parents. It's not done by any organization.
Yes.
Parents have to fight. Parents have to fight. You see, you, as you said with your brother, you have to fight for your brother. You have to talk about it. You have to talk about the fact that every school refused them.
Yes.
You must be talking about it all the time to all your friends. I mean, my friends, they get fed up of me talking about the network and persons with disabilities and human rights, because that is it. It's human rights. We cannot be our brother's keeper if we are not keeping our brother. You know, and this is what people can't understand. We've gotten so entrenched in this charity mentality where, oh yeah, we put them in a nice box and we buy some gifts and we give them a party and that's it. They have a future. They can have dreams like everybody else. And if people come to our conference and get to meet David and interact with him, you really want to know, this guy has Down syndrome.
Yes.
He has written a book. He has spoken at Washington, at the White House. He has spoken at the United Nations.
That's beautiful.
Angel is a chef.
Yes.
You know, and
yes,
we have our own little chef coming up, Rochelle Prasad. You know, so, and it's true, giving her those opportunities, her mother gave her those opportunities from small. She didn't say, oh gosh, she's special, don't carry her in the kitchen, don't put her near the stove, don't do this. No, instead she taught her.
Yes. So those are, that's the hope that we were changing to see. We're hoping to see, sorry. When it comes to legislation abroad, are there any policies that it really stands out, say in the US, maybe the UK, that you think would be best implemented in Trinidad? Anything you can think of?
No, we don't have to implement their policies in Trinidad, but we have several. That's why on the network we have 2 attorneys, and they deal with that. I mean, one of them, she will be speaking at the conference, so I hope you all are coming. I hope the people who are listening will log in and hear what she has to say, because she is very versed in all international human rights legislation pertaining to persons with disabilities. And we have already reviewed, the government did send out the draft legislation to be reviewed. So we were just waiting, hoping that it goes to Parliament before election. That obviously is not going to happen again, so we'll have to wait until after election to see what happens with regard to the legislation.
All right, so I know that we're going to put the flyer for the event, both days, up on the screen. I'm hoping that it was there. But if not, it's going to be up now. And I just wanted to remind people of this event. It's going to be taking place on the, just give me one moment,
March
on the 20th
in Tobago, and March 21st in Trinidad.
You can get tickets at islandetickets.com/event/DSFN Trinidad 2025. Just to read it out for those who can't see, the registration is $300, and persons with Down syndrome, if I'm seeing here, they ride free, which is an amazing thing to have. I do encourage everybody to go to this to this event to learn more. We have some amazing featured speakers. I'm seeing here a great lineup for you guys. And again, support where you can, and #improve our support systems. Glenn, we do have to come to a close right now, but we do thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge and sharing what your organization has been doing. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope everybody goes on to our social media platforms, like our pages, follow our pages, and comment on it.
Of course. You do have a beautiful day, Glenn.
Thank you. Same to you guys.
Thank you. All right, so with that being said, we're just going to take another quick break, and then we're going to be back with you guys in a couple moments. Stay with us.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience. Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Folks, we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white-collar crime, though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
The Constitution doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia that's responsible for looting the country, and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
And I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot have a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being the victim, right, or the man is being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Our award-winning show is back, and this season promises to be even more exciting than before. What's Up, Doc isn't just a title. It's a call to action for anyone who wants to improve their health and well-being. Join us on this thrilling ride towards better health on WESN Content Capital.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
The best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com. From the best strollers, car seats, baby carriers, high chairs, booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship McLean. Shop online now at thebesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 332-BABY. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
Fan Zone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
welcome back to the program this morning. Today is Wild Wednesday. So joining us, as usual, is Mr. Mead, Mr. Ricardo Mead. Welcome to the program once again.
Good morning, ladies, and thank you very much for having me here. It's another Wild Wednesday, and things are going to get wild up in this place.
Yeah.
We should have a theme song, I think.
Yeah, we're going to get a wild song.
We'll come up with one. But I'm very excited for the show this morning. Jada is a little, she's at the edge of her seat right now.
Yes.
But you will see why in just a few seconds. So Mr. Mead, what do you have for us this morning?
Well, a very, very special animal. And I'm going to push my volunteers to approach the EMA to get this animal further protection status. The animal with us today is a lesser anteater, also known as a matapel, and also known as a southern tamandua. So that's the international name, southern tamandua, international common name. And it is found in South America. It is found here in Trinidad, not Tobago. And the reason why we think this animal is special is that the ones in South America have black on it. It has a black sort of saddle and black on the muzzle. The ones in Trinidad are completely blonde, no black anyway. So it's, as soon as you see it, you know it's a different animal. It can be, it's the same animal, but it's identifiable because it's the difference. And anywhere in the world you see one like that, you can say that came from Trinidad. Only place that it's found. So that particular subspecies or characteristic is endemic to Trinidad. And if we lose that, it'll be lost throughout the world, basically. So it's good to give it further protection, as it were, because it's so special. And we need to understand, Trinidad separated from the mainland, South America, millions of years ago, how much ever time you want to trace to it. But the mammals that we have got trapped on our island. And with a shrinking genetic pool, whatever were the characteristics there would have continued and it would have changed. So we did not get genetic material from the mainland. There was no crossing. The animals couldn't cross. So what we have turned out to be a little different. So ocelots are a little different, and our southern tamandua different. We have monkeys that are different. So these are things that we need to embrace and value and cherish and protect as an island state. Okay, these are ours. We have these characteristics because they are Trini, real Trini. Okay, the birds are a little different. Birds go fly back and forth. It's only 7 miles, so they can exchange their genetic material, and you find a lot of times the same thing. But these particular mammals, we have certain ones, they should be given further protection status because once they are lost, they are gone.
Are they currently on the verge of extinction or
It's a tricky thing, extinction. Well, put it this way, Trinidad and Tobago is so small. So whatever we have here, a minor event can have major consequences and we can lose an animal entirely. So for example, again, we do not have to look far. A lot of times people, when you talk about conservation and extinction, think about Africa and the mega mammals and so on, But right here, our mega mammals are the red rocket deer, which doesn't exist in Tobago anymore. So Tobagoans can say, in Tobago, the red rocket deer is extinct. The correct term is extirpated. Right. That means no longer in an area. But as far as Tobagoans are concerned, that doesn't exist there anymore. The ocelot doesn't exist there anymore, and other animals. So if it can happen right next to us right there, another island that is part of our country, why can't it happen here? It will probably take a little longer. But with the forces that we are applying to our environment, you have to understand that it can actually accelerate the demise. We want another mall, we want another gated community, we want a bigger playing field. All these factors are taken away from our existing areas for the wildlife. So they're under pressure. And even just by building a highway, you fragment a forest, and now the animals cannot traverse that safely in order to do their thing.
So what sorts of protections would we be looking at for the lesser anteater that you're calling?
Well, if we get it on the environmentally sensitive species, ESS, environmentally sensitive species. So that is recognizing from a legislative angle that these animals, their existence is sensitive. Okay, we don't use the term endangered really down here. They're sensitive. And in a blink and a wink, we can lose them. So it's like, pay attention to these. All wildlife are protected, but pay attention to these, because if we don't, when it's gone, we're going to throw our hands up and say, oh, we didn't know. We know. We know. We've been beating the drum for many years. You know, people look at me like if I'm crazy, but I'm okay with that. I've accepted the crazy role, crazy animal guy, whatever you want to call it. But it's for a reason. And these are all part of our biodiversity that makes us this amazing country. And a lot of people don't appreciate that. You know, so you work in, say, Caribbean Airlines. You're a pilot. Good job, nice living, you know, pretty good. You did well for yourself. But who are you going to fly to Trinidad when people stop coming for our biodiversity? When the tourists stop coming? Okay? Or wouldn't you be in a better position when our biodiversity increases to the point and it's internationally recognized and people from all over, honey, we got to go to Trinidad. Look at this. They have this animal here. Yeah. Just imagine somebody scoring your net today and is going to see this animal and we're going to bring it out today. And like, oh my gosh, we're going to Trinidad. I have to see that. Yes, we have to. That's how it works. Yes. So they buy a plane ticket. And then the stewardesses get work, and you know, and it just taxi drivers get work, the hotel gets work, the cooks get work, the farmers, and it just goes along. That's how the economy is stimulated. Okay, and all because of a possible little anteater. Yeah. So that's the role that they play. Our biodiversity is important. That's our gem. We are the gem of the Caribbean when it comes to biodiversity. We're not going to fight up with beaches and stuff like that. But you see biodiversity?
We have that.
Ching, ching, ching. But it's ching, ching, ching with them alive and well and in a wonderful environment. They don't want to come to eat it. They want to see it, take a picture with it, experience it, see it in a tree. And that's what we have to give them.
How long does it take for these protections to come about?
It may take a couple of years. There's certain processes, you know, it has to be suggested, and then they'll probably put it on a list, and then it goes in for consideration, and then there are people who will probably say no. I don't know why anybody would want to say no, and you know, give a baseline reasoning for it, other than, yeah, we like it. There are a few of it. It's a special animal. It's found nowhere else in the world. Protect it. Okay. Basically, that's what it comes down to. So, without much ado, ladies, you ready?
Yes. I would like a lot of ado, actually.
Let's bring out Amplia. She is famous. She has hugged so many people. Aww. She has kissed so many people. She has licked so many people. Aww. Ladies and gentlemen, Cora. Let's see if she will come on out. Cora, come on. Are you going to play shy for me? Come on up. Yes, come on up, girl. There we go. Good morning.
I won't lie, that's kind of cute.
She's adorable. She's like, no. I'm going back. Come on, Cora. So, ladies and gentlemen. What is
that sound that she's making?
Well, they don't have a voice box.
Right.
So there's some animals that don't have a voice box, vocalization. So all they can do is accelerate or decelerate the amount of air that they pass through their passages. So she just sort of gives you that. Yeah. That's all she can do. Yeah. And we'll meet another creature soon that does the same thing. So this is Cora. Here we go. Let's get the container out of the way.
And she's the lesser anteater.
She's the lesser anteater because in South America they have the giant anteater. So there she is, Cora.
Hi, Cora.
Cora, and she likes to do her Kung Fu Panda imitation.
Oh, she could stand on her hind legs.
Oh, yeah. She leans back, see that tail? Gives her that support, and she can, that's a defensive posture. Hey, leave me alone. Hiya, I know Kung Fu. So she's just really an amazing animal.
So,
and quite gentle.
Are these animals, do they survive better in groups or packs? I don't know.
Very solitary animal.
Okay.
A lot of the animals like the sloths and so on, and here we go.
Oh, the little tongue. Yeah, guys, she has a very, very, very small tongue. Like a little,
Yeah, but it's long. The tongue right now is
kind of
about
looks
9
like
inches.
A snake.
Wow.
The tongue will get up to probably 12 inches. Now, what I have to try to do, be careful. I don't want it to get onto the audio equipment. So I'm just going to be, if you see me just sort of trying to manage her a bit there, I don't want her to rip apart the mic and stuff like that. So that's what that is about. She isn't hurting me or anything like that. Her back claws here a little sharp, but my skin is like alligator skin, so I'm kind of accustomed to that. But yeah, she is the lesser anteater, and she investigates with that sticky tongue. And when she sticks her tongue in your ear, you can feel it like behind your eyes. It's kind of, oh my goodness.
No
way. And she loves to play. You know, it's very playful, love to have her belly scratched and so on, so she will roll over and grab your hands and play and stuff like that. But notice what she's doing. She's holding on with her tail, right? She has a prehensile tail or monkey tail, right? Because she's a boreal, so she spends a lot of time in trees, and to ensure that she doesn't fall, like she's playing, you know, she's like, this is my safety line right there. That's the safety harness. So she will hold. You want to play too much this hour of the morning? Yeah, quite. You know, she's like, yeah, I'm up and I'm about and I'm having fun. So she is built for what she does. An ant eater. Starting off with the tongue, we notice the tongue sticky. That's a big problem for me with the tongue. Not the tongue itself, but it is the yucky, coaty, mucousy, slimy, sticky thing that you feel, and it just gets. So this thing being stuck in your ear, and not just stuck in your ear, like a Q-tip you stick in your ear, no problem. This probes. So it's like you feel like if you're an alien, this thing is going into your ear. I'm telling you, you feel it behind your eyes. I mean, I've felt it like 1,000,000 times, and it still creeps me out every single time. I could never get accustomed to that feeling. Okay, so she cannot bite because all that really extends from her mouth is her tongue. So she has a very, very tiny mouth, so she cannot bite you. But she does have a defense. See these claws on the front here? Yeah, these are claws.
I was just about to ask, like, tell us about those claws.
Right.
What are these claws used for?
If you've ever tried to remove a termite nest from a tree, you realize it's harder than the tree. The termites chew up the wood and use a special sort of adhesive that they produce from their mouth to make it sticky, and it sticks back, and when it dries it's like hard, like plywood. So a termite nest is extremely hard. When she eats the ants, the termites, how does she get in? Well, she uses these claws. Look at those claws. Look at that. These claws are powerful, and she is strange because in most animals your hindquarters are usually bigger and stronger. She is reversed. Her back legs are skinny little chicken legs, and her front are like, look at these things here, like Hulk. So because they power these massive claws that literally rip into. To see her rip into a termite's nest is just amazing. Bit by bit, she would shred almost the entire thing, but she would not destroy an entire nest because they eat about 10,000 ants a night. And she'd want to eat tomorrow or the day after. So if she destroys the entire ant's nest, she'll have a problem. She just takes what she needs. That's it, no more than that, just what she needs. Now, when you mash up an ant's nest, the ants aren't going to come out and say, who's there? They're coming out, who mashing up my house? And they're coming out vexed. They're coming out biting and fighting. So she has a thick, coarse, feel that fur coat, coarse fur coat, right? So firstly, an animal in the tropics with a fur coat, well, she's mainly nocturnal, so she's not exposed to too much of the diurnal or daylight heat and sun. But this here, coarseness here, protects her from the ants' bites. They come out and they bite that instead of her bare skin. And then even off her own self there, she will lick them off. Yeah, this is her just having a time. Like I said, I just want to keep her off the equipment.
Is she looking for something?
No, she's just having fun this morning. She's just get off the equipment.
Careful.
Get off the equipment, Cora. I don't have money to replace. Come on. Don't be an expensive interview.
So, what is the life expectancy of these?
They can go up to 25, possibly 30 years. They're now learning so much about these creatures because one, they're fairly rare, and quite solitary. So you're not going to see a bunch of them. The thing is that when the mother, she's giving you a demonstration of how well I can use my tongue at my expense all the time. But that's okay. That's part of the learning experience. Yeah, and she will stay there and keep doing that. If I move my finger, it's going to be game over for me.
She's waiting. She's
She's like, you're gonna move your finger. I will get there. So so her name is Cora, after the famous Cora River in Trinidad.
That's where you found her.
She was literally just found crawling around. She was the size, she fit in the palm of my hand when we got her. Someone would have killed her mother. Probably didn't even realize there was a baby on her because the babies hold on to the fur. And she would have fallen to the ground and was just sort of crawling around, helpless, eyes just opened. Doesn't make too much of a difference. They have very poor eyesight. Very small eyes, and they work at night, so they don't use their eyes. They use these big floppy old ears to hear things, and their sense of smell, which is amazing, to cue into where the ants are, and then they go down for it. All right, Cora, let me go. Right? So, the physical feature again, that tail. Yep, you've seen tails like that before, like a manicou's tail. Some monkeys, it's a prehensile type tail. So there's, on the inside, it's like the palm of your hand. They use that to hold on.
The tail looks like The skin, it looks like that of a snake.
Right, right. And holds on well, is very articulate, so it can do all sorts of things with that tail. See how they're holding on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, she has to use, like, this is a normal position for them feeding on ants.
Yeah.
You get up under the nest, you rip it open, and you're there and you're feeding on ants. And this is the tail ensures that she does not fall.
Your limbs need to be strong.
Yeah. She's built for life in the tree, but she can come down and you will go from tree to tree on the ground by walking.
So would Cora ever be led back into the wild, or she is completely fully domestic at this point?
Well, not fully domestic. 10,000 years to domesticate an animal. Well, she's very socialized.
Okay.
And she's a great ambassador. And what we would hope, because they are actually rare, is to find an instance in a way to start a breeding program to actually breed them, because not much is really known about them. A friend of mine in Cincinnati Zoo, they had a baby born recently, and it passed a couple of days after, and they were asking me, and I'm like, I don't know much. We just have this one girl here that we've been fighting up with, I know she's in absolute play mode now and wrestle mode, so she's gonna literally fight away with me here because she thinks it's all about playing right now. So that's how she plays. So even though those nails are powerful and sharp, she's not hurting me.
Yeah.
I've had the hardest thing for me to deal with is the back legs. They're a little sharp.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to take her and file it just a little bit so she doesn't break the skin of the female volunteers. Like again, I'm tough, so I can deal with it, but if volunteers, they sometimes complain, it's a little bit sharp. Yeah, you go ahead, do your thing. Oh, here you go. There you go. That's part of dealing with it there. And so we had to, when she came in, our lives changed because we had to figure out how to deal with this animal, how to feed her. We did our very best to get the right diet, especially for
I see that
a baby. Yeah, especially for a baby, which was quite. We've come a long way, and she has done well. We're quite proud.
How old is she?
Cora is now about 2.5, going up to 3 years old. I have to check the exact date. I think she may be 3 in June. She may be 3 in June. To check and see. Cora, come on, let me go. Love her. And she's she's great to clean surfaces with. Yeah. So she's gonna go towards Jada.
It's maybe not.
Okay, come on. Let's go. Gosh, go.
Go to Naomi.
Go to me. Go. Right. That coarse. This is a coarse fur, and again, absent on the tail. See, whatever she does, she always tries to hook the tail, put the tail somewhere. Hold on, what is this stuff here? All that dusty stuff. What's that dusty stuff?
Oh my God, I'm trying to be cool, so cool. No, but her tongue does not feel as icky as I thought it would have been.
On your hands, it's fine. When it comes to your ears, you will freak out.
But her nose? Her nose is always wet.
Wet, yeah, it's always like damp, like a little puppy.
Yeah.
Like a little puppy, yeah.
Yeah, and it's cold, it's wet, so it feels like a puppy or like a...
Yeah, thanks God. Yeah, she does me all these things all the time. Just stay away from the equipment, please. I do not need to hear from the technician with regards to that. So this is just...
She reminds me of like a child because she's shy, but she lets out her full personality with you because she's accustomed. Yeah. So it's...
Yeah, so she over there, she's like, okay, I'll just walk down, take a look and sniff.
Yeah.
But when she gets back to me, it's all hell break loose. Yes. And does me anything that she wants. She's like, I'm fortunate that, okay, I was just going to say that she didn't try to go into my shirt. And that's exactly what she was just attempting to do. You can't go there because the mic is there. Okay?
What's aggressive to an animal like this? What would cause her to get that kung fu mode, as you said before?
Attacks from other predators. And one of the main predators would be dogs. People running their hunting dogs through the forest would come across her, and she would get into that posture. And she's basically telling the dog, leave me alone, leave me alone. And if the dog comes closer, she would come down with full force with these here. And these are known to rip the face out, rip the eyes off, rip the ears off of dogs. Yeah. Okay, she's just trying to defend herself. She will not go after anything. The only thing she attacks is ants.
If she's facing like that way, but I'm behind her, like a horse or a kangaroo, and you touch the back with it, would she get defensive? If you touch her back?
Well, depends on the situation. If she's scared and she's forward, like let me go forward facing and doing a thing like that there, and you touch behind her, and it might surprise her. And she would, again, one of the things you have to understand, poor eyesight. Yeah. Poor eyesight. So quite like a tattoo or the armadillo, very poor eyesight. And I've seen this demonstrated so many times. I was actually in Florida. It's quite sad that most of my tattoo or armadillo encounters were in Florida. But they come out from below a hedge and almost walk right up to you. And then all of a sudden, they're like, if you say, hey, look at tattoo, it's like, oh my gosh, a Trini, and they're gone. They hear that accent and there's no curry following it or something like that there, and they're gone. You know, so, but yeah, the poor eyesight kind of gets a sticky, icky a bit there. Come on, scratch. Yeah, you scratch all your stuff all over me.
How do they sleep? So I know, okay, the trees, they hang in trees. Do they hang when they sleep?
No, they curl up in a ball in a fork in the tree or a hole,
okay,
or even a little hole in the ground a bit, but they prefer to be up than down, so they would get into that. So we have a large PVC section that we tie in the upper part of the cage, and she goes in there and curls up and sleeps all day. But now she is fully awake. She's like, something's going on, so I'm awake and I am miserable.
She's shedding a lot. I'd like these little, you know, dusty, is that dust from her?
That's actually from her food.
Okay.
When she gets into her food, she gets it everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would dry on her, all right, because her food is blended. So it's that my mouth with your foot. It's like a sort of a paste, almost like a soup, thick soup.
Yeah.
So when it dries, when she gets it everywhere and it dries and so on there, this is actually bits of, remember the superworms and so on we had last week? So superworms, eggs, peanut butter, bananas, is a lot of it is about 8 ingredients we put into the blender, blend it up and puts it in a cup. So she slurps that up, and in doing so she gets that all over. And then when it has to bother a bit, so this is like a whole dust. These are, if you put these back together, you may get a whole worm right there.
They look like shavings.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, I fell for that one, didn't you?
Yeah. So I know we don't know much about them, but can they get sick? Is that something that happens?
Anything can get sick. Zoonotic diseases is a real thing. A lot of diseases transfer from humans to animals and animals to humans, back and forth. So they're called zoonotic disease, and we have to be very, very mindful of that. If you have a cold,
zoonotic disease?
It's zoonotic disease, yeah. Basically, COVID, zoonotic disease, because the origin was thought to be in
bats.
Bats. Right, a lot, and if people say like COVID is something new, no, COVID has been around. If you've ever had a dog addicted to the vet, you would have seen that they were getting their COVID shots and stuff like that there. So this thing has been around for a while. Okay, a lot of things, and the avian flu. Okay, most all the flus that we get comes from birds. Yeah. So that's why it's very, very pathogenic. It's very easy to spread. And that's when it becomes quite dangerous. So we have to always be very careful. Something called biosecurity must be practiced. Stuff from dogs. If your dogs have parvo and stuff like that, it can possibly spread. He's like, okay, stranger.
Okay.
So I'll tap the hand.
Okay. It's okay.
Probably
No,
yeah.
Okay.
So zoonotic disease is something very important, and that is
like
part of the reason.
Far away.
Yeah, part of the reason for that wildlife rehabilitation is significant, because if the avian influenza reaches Trinidad, who do you think is going to be the first people to encounter it?
The animals.
Right, but the people. Which people are going to know about it first?
You guys.
Well, even before it gets to the vets, it comes to the wildlife rehabbers. We're the ones who go out there and pick up the animals. So someone calls me and says, look, we have a pelican sitting in our backyard. It's very strange. I don't know what's going on. I said, send me pictures, send me video. And I'm like, okay, this bird is showing very strange signs. It doesn't show any physical effects, but disease a lot of times doesn't show those physical effects. But when you get up close now, you see, okay, the bird is wobbly. It's, fluids coming out its nares or something like that. Then you know something is wrong. And now we have to step into a mode where we would practice the right sort of biosecurity to ensure if this animal does indeed have suspected bird flu, that it's not spread to us and other people. Okay, so then we report it, the public health division, and say, hey, we have a suspected case, and then the testing begins.
So when you're going to get these animals, I mean, you would wear proper, because you don't know what you're going into, so you would wear.
Well, it's always, a lot of times the animals have been physically injured, shot, and stuff like that. But with birds, we try to run an assessment before. We get in or send people to handle it. I tell people, hey, send me a picture, a video. What are you seeing? What's going on? And if it's a physical, now a next, oh my gosh. Yeah. You got it, Jada?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. And next thing, yeah, she has a high protein diet. Ants, termites, high protein. Eggs and so on, high protein. So with that protein.
Did she put her tongue in your ear?
Yeah?
She put her tongue.
Yeah, she got me a couple times. With the high protein going out, it's a high odor coming out. So when about 4 times this morning coming up the highway in traffic, she passed gas. And I had to send down all the windows because you would swear it was,
It's very sour smelling. Oh, she's back. Hi, Cora.
It's awful. That was a mild one she just did. Sometimes she does it in the car.
I smell
it. We've stopped on the highway, opened the doors and everything and put her outside and checked her. It's like, Cora, did you poop? Did you poop? No, she did not poop. She just passed gas. And that's the hardest part. People who want to deal with this, you have to smell like dry dog poop all the time. Microphone. Dry dog poop all the time, basically.
Yes, Cora's a healthy girl. She loves her fiber.
Loves of protein, anybody who's been to the gym with the bodybuilder guys and so on, taking those protein shakes, when they let out gas, it clears areas. Can't help it. It's protein, and protein has a stronger smell than carbs and stuff like that. Yeah, come on, we're gonna fight, right? So I'm gonna just slide you over there.
No, Naomi, you can.
Are you over there?
Her fur is really nice, though. I would, even though it's quite coarse.
Yeah, it's quite coarse compared to the pygmy that we had. The pygmy is a very silky. That's why they call it the silky. Yeah, you stay over there now. Yeah, come on, you go there, and you will have fun there. All right. Give me a break here.
Okay.
Yeah, then there's this like lovely dust all over the place. Don't let her get hooked into your earrings or anything like that. All right. Yeah, give her a hand there. Unhook her. There. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a strong baby.
All right. I think I will hold her while we her back legs. Yes.
You feel it sharp. Yeah.
So we do have to close this morning, and maybe Cora can do the closing.
Keep her off of you. All right, so at this point is where we close before we have a wardrobe malfunction on set. Come on here, girl. Come on.
No, don't come here. No.
Come on, Cora.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
There's another one. There's another human here. Come on. Yeah, she's under Lego. Lego her tail. Release her tail for me, please. There you go, Jerry. You're getting into it. There you go. Right, you can cheer.
Yeah.
That is the power and the strength of those. Cora, we'll face the camera and tell the folks goodbye. Tell them stop killing anteaters. This way, Cora. The camera is this way. There we go. Say bye. Stop killing anteaters. We are lovely creatures that people from all over the world would love to come here and see, ones like me. Okay? So, love your wildlife and stop eating them.
Hi, Cora.
There you go.
All right.
Cora saying bye for you guys.
We have come to the end of yet another program, and this was fun. This was fun. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a lot about these lesser anteaters, because we definitely did. So, Mr. Mead, again, thank you for joining us on the program this morning and bringing Cora with you.
The lengths I go to for education.
Yes.
Yeah, but especially with the tongue in your ear.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears.
You know what, I think for our close today, when we do the quotes, Mr. Mead, do you have any wise words that you'd like to leave with our viewers?
Well, it starts and ends with wildlife. The wildlife are the ones who manage our forests. The forests are the ones who give us our food, our natural resources, and most importantly, our oxygen. So when the last tree is cut down, when the last river runs dry, what are you going to do with your Prado and all that money?
All right. Well, with those wise words, do enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Be kind. And, just be aware of the wildlife around you. And when you see an animal, be nice to it.
Yeah, and if you're ever in doubt, call them.
Yes.
Call them, let them help. Yes,
all right. Stay safe, stay inspired, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining us this morning. Bye-bye.
Bye.
WESN.
Hi, I'm Claudette, radiographer at the radiology departments at the community hospital. We offer high-quality service with state-of-the-art equipment in X-ray, ultrasound, CT, and mammogram. Come, our friendly staff awaits you.
Give us a call at